All right, here is another question. What's your active listings to sold items ratio? So right now, it is very close to 1-to-1. Closest it's ever been. But the explanation is simple. And a man. So typically 2-to-1. So maybe 800 listings, 400 sold in the last 60 days. That's typically what we're looking at. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Robert Hamilton, can you cross-post the same item on different platforms to increase your chance of selling it? Absolutely. A lot of people, especially full-timers, professional resellers, they definitely do that. I don't do it much. I occasionally do it on a Mercari item if I think it's got a good chance to sell. My wife does Posh and eBay, and sometimes Posh and eBay and Mercari. But her sales on, let's say an item is on 3 different platforms. Let's say there's 100 items on 3 different platforms. She's going to sell, out of those 100 items that sell eventually, she's going to sell 85 of them on eBay. She's going to sell 10 of them on Posh and 5 of them on Mercari. Now, that's mostly close, so it'll give you an idea. All right, here is a question about the antique booth. It says, do you have to sell vintage or antiques at most rented booths? I think it just depends on where you're at. One of the places we're at, they really do want a little bit more antique and vintage stuff. The other place does too, but they don't really care as long as stuff is selling and it doesn't look like it's a thrift store. So I suppose it's a sliding scale, and it just depends on where you're at. All right, here's a question from Robbie. Robbie's new to reselling, and he has the limits placed on him from eBay for new sellers. And he's got 2 questions, but my 2 questions are, if I open a store, will those limits transfer over? And will my current listings transfer as well? Sorry for being a long question asker, and thank you for sharing and doing what you do. All right, so if I understand the question correctly, is will your limits to selling be automatically upped if you get a store? Let's say you get a store with 500 listings, or 1,000 listings, I should say. Do you automatically get those 1,000 listings? You would think so, but I think the answer is no, which means they shouldn't sell you that store until they've upped you those limits. Now, I'm not positive my answer is correct, but I'm pretty certain it is. So I would not get the store either until you clarify that with eBay or until you have those listings upped. Now, you can call them and you can ask them to raise your listings, and they often do. So anyway, try that. And the second question is, will my current listings transfer as well? So I'm assuming you mean the listings that you have, will they automatically go into the store? If that's the question, the answer is yes. If the question is, do they count against your total listings? The answer is still yes. So let me know if I've got that question right. I think I do. Here's a question from Flippin' Crazy Farm Boy, and it's basically about space on his phone. When he does list on his phone, he takes pictures in advance, and there's not enough space on his phone. Is that an issue that I come up with every once in a while? It used to be. It's not anymore, because now I'm showing you this video here because I did a whole video about listing on my phone. It's not an issue for me anymore because I have 3 phones. So I have one phone I just use for eBay. Hey, it's tax write-off, right? I have one phone that I use for myself, and I have one phone that I actually use for YouTube. So only one of them has a phone plan. The others are essentially just tiny little computers that I use. At any rate, that's the issue for me. It was the issue for me in the past, and I upped my gigabytes on the one that I use for eBay, so it never is an issue anymore. So that is an issue that I probably should have addressed in that video, and thanks for bringing it up. All right, here is a very different type of question, Sandra. Why do both your cats have chunks missing from their ears? So those 2 cats, Boots and Pepper, they're rescue cats. So my wife literally found them out in the middle of nowhere, starving and freezing and all that, and she's just really, really kind, much more kind than I am. And she brought them home, and there's a program here where we live that there's so many cats out there that they have this little program where if you bring the cats in, they will spay and neuter them for free, and they'll let you take them home, and they're your cats. But they clip their ears because there's so many people that just let their cats go, and they want to know the cats that are out there, which ones have been spayed and neutered, so they're not hauling them all in. If they see stray cats out there that don't have those clipped ears, then they take them in and spay and neuter them. So essentially that's the answer. It is not done out of cruelty. It's really done out of kindness. All right, this says, how do you find all these yard sales? And that is in reference to that garage sale. It's really not a garage sale at all. It's a rummage sale, a charity fundraiser at a Catholic church. And that was only part one. So it was actually a pretty good sale, but it was more than just part one. There was a whole nother part, which we got a lot more good stuff. So that was awesome. I'm going to assume you mean this literally, which you might not. You might mean it rhetorically. But literally, how do I find them is the yard sale treasure map. That's how I found that one. And it is an app on your phone. All right, good haul. Do the Rainbow and Kirby vacuums still sell good? Whenever I find them, they are always asking for a high price. So the short answer is yes. They still sell pretty darn good, believe it or not. Sometimes better to sell them out in parts than it is to list them all together because shipping can become quite overwhelming. So you got to really look into that before you choose to get those vacuum cleaners and ship them out. But if you're not afraid of shipping, then yeah, you can still get good money, but not if they're asking $100 for it. So you just look up the model number. Matter of fact, if they have all the parts and accessories, I don't even look up the model number. If the price is good, I just buy it and part it out. I'm going to sound like an idiot asking this question, but tonight I sold a silly little something and was seriously thinking about refunding a part of the sale because I thought they paid too much. I know. Do you ever feel that way, or do I have to simply realize that a person's trash is another person's treasure? Well, I'll tell you what. I would say that the second part of your statement is more correct than the first. Now, I have felt that way before on a couple of items. But you know what? I'm not forcing anybody to buy anything, and I don't know what interests them. I don't know what they collect, so more power to them. But there are a few things where I'm just like, I cannot believe somebody would pay this much for whatever the item is. But hey, more power to them. Kevin, do you put your eBay store on your business cards? I need to order some, and where do you get yours? Thanks. Well, I do put it on there, and I don't know where I order them from because Blue Ridge Mama does it for me, but I think the first batch she got from Vistaprint. She may have got the second batch there as well, but I'm not positive, so I'm going to say Vistaprint. This question's from Martin. He says, what is the average cost for shipping for the DVD VCR using this method, and what service do you use? So I'm assuming you say using this method you were watching the shipping video, and I was shipping a DVD VCR combo, and I was cutting the box down to basically the right size, leaving just a little over an inch on each side and packaging it up pretty well and putting cardboard in the sides and whatnot. So assuming that's what you mean, the average cost, I usually do FedEx. Now, occasionally one gets purchased using calculated shipping priority mail, which is nice because I get a good little discount on that. And occasionally they'll use parcel post, but usually the choice is FedEx these days. And the cost is usually I'm going to say $16. So it's usually just a tick under that or just a little bit over that. Maybe as high as like 18 at the most and as low as like 14 at the least. So that's a pretty good little area if you're looking for the cost. So hope that helps. Hi, this question's from Ray, and he says, like your videos, I was watching one of your older videos about media mail. Would a calendar be considered media mail or not? And Ray says, thanks, the Inaman has arrived safely. I hate to tell you this, but I think the answer to that question is no. I don't believe a calendar would be considered media mail.